Venkat,
Okay.
which is most detailed? If you compare previous batch and current batch, which spring is more detailed?
Mm,
You have a book. Can you read the book?
probably the current one here is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I don't know. Again, you are the better judges. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. No, I've already started listening. What happened was I went to the
I
current
would say
batch.
this one. I would say the current batch. Try here. All the
Okay.
spring stuff. Try here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would say spring stuff. Try here. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I would say that.
Venkat,
Yeah.
yeah, my friend is interested to join class. So when is the next session?
Okay. So can you guys watch this video, Spring JDBC? It's a small JDBC. It's a small pattern called template method pattern, using which we can use JDBC, using which we can enhance JDBC using Spring. That's the main idea. Spring JDBC. So Spring has its own module called Spring JDBC to make the life easy. Okay. Or to dramatically reduce the boilerplate code, meaning unnecessary code in JDBC. Okay. Or I want to leave it to you. You want me to talk about that now? I can do that.
Yeah,
Or
give an introduction at least.
Just give us a kind of highlights.
Yeah,
Or,
little.
and
okay,
then
okay,
we'll watch it.
okay,
And we'll practice it.
okay. So sure, I think that's fair. Okay. So in JDBC, we have seen how we can connect to database using Java. So that's a Java database connectivity API, JDBC API. Using JDBC API, how we can connect to databases, right? We did that extensively. We have been using it. And we have a nice DAO pattern, data access object pattern. This is where we write the JDBC code, right? But if you look at it, I think I've been saying it from day one, ever since I talked about JDBC, that the code is very bad. Meaning, code is very laborious and lengthy. Look at it. How many lines of code we have to write. So here we improved it by moving the connection stuff to a base class. Okay. Ideally, we have to write all of this code too. Can you please mute yourself, one of you? I'm not sure. I'll mute everybody. Sorry. So ideally, we have to write all of this code and then get the connection, then get the statement, and then statement.execute query. See, once we get the result set, we have to do the real stuff, meaning we have to take the ID, we have to take the type, name, price, etc. from whatever JDBC is giving it, right? And then we have to write, of course, we intelligently write one line of code with closed resources, but see how much code we are supposed to write. All of this we need to write. So there is so much boilerplate code, so much unnecessary stuff that's not related directly to our business logic. That's what I mean by boilerplate code. Okay. See, getting the connection, okay, getting the statement, getting the result set, and also closing the result set, closing the statement, closing the connection. All of this can be done by someone else. We don't have to do that. We don't have to write code to do that. So what Spring JDBC, so Spring has several modules, right? One of the modules is called JDBC, Spring JDBC. That JDBC has used a simple pattern, a simple gang of 4 pattern called template method pattern. It's a pattern called template method pattern. Template method pattern is nothing but it will divide. So you have one method, okay? You have, let's say, execute is a method. Within this method, it will write certain day-to-day code, meaning it will get the connection, get the statement, get the result set. All of this is very standard code. Once you get the result set, that is when, see, no tool can do this one because these column names are different. And then no tool can do this one as well. So the code, it clearly differentiates between the code that tool cannot handle versus the code that tool can handle. The mundane code versus specific code. Very generic code versus specific code. Okay, so all the routine stuff will be done by Spring JDBC, and then whenever it gets the result set, then it gives you handle. It asks you to write your own logic here. Once you are done, then again it will come into picture and close all the resources. So we have these steps, right? We have opening the connection, getting the statement, getting the result set, and then fetch from the result set, right? Fetch from the result set, and then create an object, right? Create an object. So now close the result set, close the statement, and then close the connection. So out of all of these steps, what this method does is it will do these 3 things. Once it is done doing these 3 things, then it will give you a handle, meaning it asks you to do, it will give you the result set and you write your own code. You fetch from the result set because you know this is not a generic code. You have to do it. See, all of these 4 lines of code and this one, you have to do it. After this one, closing the result set and closing the statement and closing the connection is very, very, very routine stuff. It will take care of it. So the routine stuff will be done by Spring JDBC. And once it gets the result set, it will give you the result set through something called callback. We need to understand this word callback interface. Have you guys heard of this before? Callback interface? Anywhere, in any other programming language, it's a very standard concept called callback interface, or simply callback. Any of you in any other programming language, have you heard this callback?
Can you give me a hint? Can you give me a hint actually about in what connection I could have heard that?
Yeah, it is like I will call you. Okay, I will call you and say that, hey, you are my mail guy. So you go to post office, you get the mail. Okay, you will do a lot of things. So you start the car, go to post office, get the mail, open the mailbox, get the mail, and then once you get the mail, you come back home. Now what I'll say is, when I call you itself, when I call you, you do all of this one. But when I call you, what I'll tell you is, hey, once you get the mail, can you give me a call back? Meaning, can you give me a call saying that, hey, I'm done getting the mail and here is the mail, and I will proceed from there. You're understanding, everybody?
Yeah. So it's kind of an inter-process communication type of thing, right?
Um, it doesn't have to be two different processes. It can be a single process, and it can be designed either way, both synchronous or asynchronous. So let's not get into those details. But here it is a simple call, meaning I will call certain method, and I'll, okay, see here, I will call, there is a class called JDBC template, okay, everybody? And then there is a method called execute. Okay, now it expects a SQL query. So I pass the SQL query, and it expects a callback interface. What it means is that, so the second argument is going to be an interface. That interface is called row mapper interface. Okay, so this row mapper interface, you need to implement the row mapper interface. Okay, you need to implement the row mapper interface. So you write something like this, or public class, private class, it doesn't matter. You can write even
Okay.
private class.
How about the exceptions that we are using?
Sure.
Is it something like that?
No.
No.
Let's talk about this one. So I'm writing a class. Okay, I'll say row mapper implements row mapper. Okay, this row mapper has a special method called map row. Okay, you will implement that map row, and it gives you the result set. Look at it. Whatever. There is an interface here, row mapper. You need to provide the implementation. When this is called, when map row method of row mapper interface is called, what do you want to do? When you are given a result set, what do you want to do? Well, what do you want to do if you're given a result set? You want to do all of this, right? You're going to do all of that. Our result set dot get int, result set dot get string, result set dot get string. But the magic here is that someone else is giving you the result set. So this is called a template method. This execute is called template method. You are passing the SQL, and you are also passing this row mapper implementation. And you are saying that by passing this one, what this guy in execute method, what this guy is going to do is, he's going to do the driver manager.get connection. So he's going to get the connection, he's going to get the statement, he's going to do the statement.execute, he's going to get the result set. Once he gets the result set, he's going to call the row mapper interfaces map row method, and he will pass you the result set. So you called him here, and once he's done these three steps, He's going to call you back here. You just write the code. He will call you. He will call this map-row method. But when map-row method is called, what do I want to do? When somebody gives me the result set, what do I want to do is my job. Giving the result set is this guy's job. So once I give the result set, you put all of these details, and again, who is actually doing all of the work? Here. So step 1, 2, 3 are done here, and then he called the row mappers map row method. You did your specific stuff, and after that again he will take the control, right? And then he will call these 3 methods to close the result set statement connection. Now, did you understand callback? Did you, at least now did you guys understand? Shawan and everyone else? Uma, did you understand callback?
No, I didn't get it.
You didn't get it? Sure.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. Yeah.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? Let's
Sorry
do
for
it.
that.
Even I
Yeah,
means,
yeah. For me, it's okay, but I didn't know that before.
Oh, no problem. Actually, let's implement that. Okay.
that means Spring JDBC gave us a macro method through RS, and then I will execute.
Let's do a simple, very simple, just for the kicks. Anyway, I have the whole Spring JDBC here, so let's understand.
Okay.
Let's understand this concept deeply. Okay. What do I call this one? A simple Java project callback. Let's say.
Is it similar to the callback? I heard about callback function in database, something. But I'm not sure.
Everywhere it's the same concept. The reason I'm kind of emphasizing, the reason I'm saying I'm emphasizing on callback is because later JavaScript, the whole jQuery is based on that simple concept. So I think it's a good idea to understand it. So let's understand how Java can do it. Later we'll see how JavaScript can do it. JavaScript probably can do it a little more elegantly because that's a functional language. Java is an object-oriented language. So anyways, let's not get into those details. We don't need it. So now what I'm saying is that, Shawan, were you trying to speak?
No,
Okay.
I was just quiet.
Yuri, you're in PL SQL, there are such row type variable that maps to row value type.
PL SQL, I've got quite a good experience in PL SQL. I can't remember at least, or cannot correlate with.
I think I agree with you, Shawan. It's not directly related, this callback. So what do we say? In a simple world, how do I say it? Can you give me the good objects names? This guy will say that. So this is a client, okay? And this guy, let's say mail receiver, let's say. Okay? And then let's design this. Let's design our thoughts, okay? There is a guy, okay? It's me. So this guy is a public static void main. This guy calls mail receiver. There is a class called, we are going to design a class called mail receiver. What this guy's responsibility is, okay? He will go to, he'll go to post office, gets the mail. And once he gets the mail, he does some certain things. Once he gets the mail, he will call someone, okay? He will call a method on certain interface that is actually be passed and used by client. So what do we call this callback? Well, what do we do after when we receive? What does client do? Client delegated certain responsibility to mail receiver, but after mail is received, he wants to do something. He wants this guy. So let's say this guy is let's say there is an interface called callback. Okay. there is an interface called callback, and there is an implementation called callback impl. Okay. Now let's understand this guy. So there is an interface called callback. Okay. I'll change this guy. There is an interface called callback. Now I'll say call me. There is a method called call me. Make sense? Now I want to provide an implementation for this one. So when somebody calls me, when somebody invokes this method called call me, what do you want to do here? I have been called. Okay, I have been called, and then I want to do something else. Since the mail has been given to me, I'll go ahead and open the mail or something like that. Okay, I'll go ahead and read the mail. Okay, that's all. Did you understand so far? Let's take iterative approach. Are we all on the same page? There is an interface called callback. So there is an implementation called call me. Somebody will call it. We don't know who that one is. Let's not worry about it. Okay?
Everybody. Can you show that callback other one once more? I just take a snapshot of that.
Yeah. You mean this one?
Right. Yeah, I've got it.
It's a simple, just one method, and then we provided the implementation for this guy. Is there any magic so far? No, right? Now, what we do is, now let's do mail receiver. Okay, let's this guy. Let's design the mail receiver, or let's implement the mail receiver class. Okay, mail receiver. Okay, so now I have a method called, let's say, execute. Execute is a bad method name probably here. Now what I'll do here is that, okay, I'm going to post office. Open the box. Okay, these are all big things actually, but I'm just putting it, with just sysouts. Found the mail. Okay, found the mail. And what do we do? Found the mail and took out the mail, right? I did some routine stuff that he asked me to do it. Now what do I do? After I received the mail, at some point I want to call anyone. After I did certain routine, now I need to give him, whoever called me, now I need to call it. How do I call it? Well, we both share this interface called callback. Okay, now whoever calls this execute method will give me, okay, the callback, appropriate implementation of callback. He's going to pass it. How many of you understood this one? He will just give me the callback. Any confusion here? I'll know where to spend time. So please answer it. Okay. So are we clear here on this one, Madhavi?
Yes, I'm clear.
This execute method is taking an interface. All I'll do is I'll do certain pre-processing logic, and then now I will call this guy. Now I will say call me. So whatever the implementation you pass it, I'm just calling it. Are you understanding the beauty of interface now? Do I know any internal details? No. I only know There is a method called call me. What has been implemented, I have no clue. If I have something now, at this point, if I have result set, I can even give that result set to this method. Are we on the same page? How he implements it is not my business. Once I call back, okay, now I'll say that again. I'm done calling that guy, calling the callback, okay. So he would have read the mail and all. Reading the mail and all is that guy's responsibility, okay, not mine. So I'm done calling the callback. So he would have read the mail and all, right? Now I'll say, close the box, close the mailbox, okay. That's it. Heading back home. On the same page now? Now, whoever wants to do it, now let's look at it. There is a class called, now, somebody who wants to do it, right? I want to do a client. He can do a public static void main, sure. Now, what he's going to do is, mail receiver, sorry, oops, I accidentally put this as a main receiver. This is a mail receiver. So mail receiver equal to new mail receiver, right? Before that, maybe I want to find out what I want to do when he calls me back. You know, he's going to go to post office, open the mailbox, all of that. But what do I want to do when he gives me the mail, right? I need to write. So call back. Now I need to provide the implementation for that, right? Now we provided the implementation already. So I need to call that guy, right? Call back impl. Okay. Now I got the callback. I got handle to callback. Now I'm going to give the callback to who? I'm going to give the callback to who? My mail receiver execute method takes callback. Are you guys getting it? I'm calling this method and I'm giving something. It is going to do few steps, like a pre-processing steps. Pre-processing meaning before the actual processing, whatever you need, the steps you need to do it, you will do it. You don't even have to do it too. Okay, or you do it. You do certain pre-processing things. Once your work is done, you give me a call back and I will do my work. My work will start at that time. And then after I'm done, then again you will take the control because all of this is happening here, right? After this one, he will do the rest of these three. Now, just the world's simplest example. Let's relook at it. I'm going to post office, open the mailbox, found the mail, took out the mail. I have been called. Look at it. So after taking the mail out, callback has been called. So I have been called, meaning the callback has been called. Okay. Since the mail has been given to me, I'll go ahead and read the mail. I'm done reading it. So now I'm done calling the callback. Close the mailbox, heading back home. Did you understand now? The beauty is that this callback interface and mail receiver, they don't have to be changed. You provide your callback implementation and these 4 steps will not be changed and these 3 steps will not be changed. Only these 2 steps will be changed. You provide different implementation. These 2 steps, you provide these two steps differently and your whole sequence will be different because your 4 steps will be same. These 3 steps will be same, but in between steps are different. Did you understand now? I can explain this again. Uma, did you understand now? Did you get it? Completely, wholeheartedly? Yeah?
Can you please go to client.java? Client
Yeah,
file.
definitely.
So, okay.
I can, sorry.
Yeah, this can you please explain this, the callback first you're implementing?
Yeah, so I'm not implementing here. I'm just calling here. I'm just instantiating my callback here and passing it to this guy saying that, hey, mail receiver, okay, whenever you call me, please call this guy's call me method. When you call me, that is where I'm going to write my logic. But what you do will stay with you. What you do will stay with you, meaning these 4 lines and these 3 lines, nothing is going to change. Only this one purely depends on you. Whatever you pass it, he will call you. Simple. This is what Spring JDBC template, not only Spring JDBC template, Spring has a lot of templates. Spring JDBC template, Spring REST template, Spring JMS template, JPA template, tons of templates, and not only Spring template, JavaScript's whole jQuery depends on callback. We write a method saying that, hey, jQuery, I'm going to call you guy. I'm going to call you, but once you are done doing whatever you need to do it, please give me a call back. If it is success, please give me a call back on this one. If it's failure, please call someone else. You can say that. See here, this client is saying it. Hey, mail receiver, you do whatever you need to do it. Execute is a big method. It does a lot of things. You do whatever you need to do it. Once you are done doing it, please give me a call. And I will do my things. Are we understanding? So where is the core stuff here? This is the core stuff. And this is not going to be changed. I can give you the same mail receiver to Uma, and she can provide her own callback. Meaning this callback interface cannot be changed, but she can provide her own implementation of callback, and everything works differently. Meaning all of these 4 lines is not going to be changed. These 3 lines are not going to be changed. Since she provided implementation here, in between her implementation will be different. Are we now on the same page? Everybody? No, I need a good, I don't know, maybe you're nodding, but I need a good yes or no so that I can, no? Yeah? All good? Understand? You can speak also. So that's a callback. Very, very, very important.
Yes.
You understand it, Madhavi, now?
Yeah. I understand now. I got it.
I'm kind of tempting to confuse you guys a little more. Today I feel like confusing you guys, so today is the day. I'm going to stretch it. Okay, let's see how much you will take it. It's not directly related to Spring JDBC anyway. I'll stretch your thinking. So
it's related to the long weekend, right?
Exactly, ready for the long weekend. Exactly. So the point is, there is something called private classes or inner classes. there is a concept in Java called inner classes. Every class does not have to be a public. So here callback impl, okay, callback impl, it doesn't have to be, this is not going to be called by 1,000 people. If it's going to be called by, more than one class, then it makes sense to be public. But this one, I'm not anticipating. Nobody is going to call this logic again. So what I can do is, I don't like this one. So I can do all of this in a separate, I can take this guy out, callback impl, callback impl, I can happily take out this guy. Put it in public static void main, that's the problem. So what I'll do is, client has a method called public void, let's say call, okay. All of this guy is good. I'm going to put this guy, and then here in public static void main, how do I call it? Just say new client, I'm inlining this guy, dot call. Okay, no big deal. These 4 lines of code, I put it into a separate method. I'm creating a new instance of this guy itself and then calling it. Okay, there's no big deal. But the deal is here. So I created a separate private class, or inner class actually. This is called inner class. I created an inner class here, class inside the class. Okay, new callback impl implements callback. And then here I have a call me, and I have these 2 lines of code, right? How many of you understood this one? It's a simple public class became private, or it became inner class, and it's pretty simple. I call this guy, right? Is it a smooth transition from public class to inner class? Simple, right? And yeah, there are a lot of kinds of inner classes, static inner classes, etc., etc. But I'm not going to go there, okay? But I wanted to tell you one specific inner class called anonymous inner class. What it means is that, see here, I created a separate class. Even though it is inner class, I created a separate class with the name. I don't want to. This is such a simple method. Call me is a method. I don't even need an object here. Unfortunately, or all these while I've been saying fortunately, but now I'm switching the gears. I'm saying unfortunately, this kind of a single method classes, they have to be wrapped with an object, because Java is an object-oriented programming language and everything has to live inside an object. I have been boasting all the positive things about object orientation and object-oriented principle and all that stuff, right? But here, it's a simple method. I don't need an object. But unfortunately, everything has to be wrapped. These methods are not first-class functions in an object-oriented programming language. Objects are, everything has to be an object, so you need a class. But you don't need this you don't need this class name, because this is not going to be used within the class itself. This is not going to be used again second time, just here. So in that case, you don't need to provide a separate class with the name. You don't need it. What you can do is, here directly you can say that, I'll take this guy line out, and you can directly look at it. In execute, you need to pass a callback, right? New callback. Okay. You're going to get scared, but I must do it now so that your life will be easy when you talk about the jQuery. Okay, look at it now. New callback. Callback is an interface. So you are saying new interface. Yes, you are saying it. You are actually providing an implementation without giving a name. That is why it is called anonymous inner class. Actually, this whole thing is a class here. Okay, until this point actually. Okay, this whole thing is the same body here, but the only thing I'm not doing is I'm not calling it explicitly class callback impl. I'm not giving a name. I'm just saying new callback, and I'm providing my implementation here itself. I'm providing it. I'm inlining it. I'm inlining my method implementation here itself without giving a separate name. So I'm just putting the system out here. And now I'll take all of this out. So I don't need a special class, special anything here. What I'm doing here is that, hey, I'm calling the execute and I need to provide a callback. I need to provide a callback, meaning I need to provide the implementation for my callback interface. But there are several ways you can do it. I can provide a public class, but it's not going to be used by anyone. There is no reason. I can provide the same class within this class, like an inner class. Well, it's not going to be used within the class also. Then in this case, write an anonymous inner class, an inner class without the name. So you are saying here, new callback, meaning this is an interface actually, but you're saying, hey, instantiate me with this implementation. So you're not giving a name for that. This is an anonymous inner class. Anonymous, meaning there is no name. It is not uncommon to see this kind of code. Especially, it is getting more common nowadays. And the reason you must know this, even though it's sort of hard to understand, I have taken years to really get into my bloodstream. I've taken my own sweet time and good reading and all that stuff, but you cannot avoid it. Cannot avoid is because here you have a single method called call me. There are another breed of programming languages, like how we have Java is an object-oriented programming language. There are other breed of programming languages called functional languages. There is something called functional programming languages. Okay, there are languages like F#, Haskell, Ruby. Okay.
Venkat, you will call Pascal as a functional language?
Haskell, not Pascal.
Oh, Haskell. Okay.
Exactly. Haskell. H-A-S. Haskell. Haskell is a programming language. So there are a lot of functional languages out there. Okay. And functional is gaining its popularity these days, especially JavaScript. JavaScript is a functional programming language. What I mean by functional is that you don't have to have objects. You can pass these methods around without wrapping these methods in an object. You can pass these methods around without wrapping these methods in an object. Unfortunately, in Java, you need to wrap these methods in an object. See here, the reason you are doing new callback, all of this boilerplate junk, a lot of people call it. Okay, I'm just there are a lot of opinions too here, more opinions than facts. So you're doing all of this, Your wrap, this is good. This is what you wanted to do it, right? But in fact, your intention is to write these 2 lines of code in a function even without having a name. But unfortunately, you can't do it. You have to write a method and then write these 2 lines of code. The functions cannot live on its own. A method or function, they both mean same. Some programming languages call it function. Certain programming languages call it method. In some places, they call it operation. Okay? So these methods.
So Venkat,
can I finish, Sean? Just give me 2 minutes, huh? Then
yeah, go ahead.
we'll have a logical break point. These methods cannot live on their own. They need a wrapper. That wrapper is this guy, but without having a name. So having a public class is a much worse option. Having an inner class with a name is less worse option. Here, this is even better option, because here you don't need a separate class with a class name. Here, you are directly inlining this guy. You are writing all of this, but this can be daunting. This can be scary. I still find myself very hard to follow this. Sometimes here, hey, which bracket matches which for which one? I still look at it. See here, if I put it here, this matches this one. So this is where this is actually the class. Okay, the anonymous inner class, the class without having a name. This is the method name. So all of this class you are putting inside a method argument as a method argument. That is what we have not seen before. We are not used to writing this kind of code so far in these 3 months plus, right? Probably close to 3 months. We have not seen this kind of code. This is called anonymous class, anonymous in the class. That's what they call it. Okay, you will see this kind of code, and this is and especially the callback methods are written there itself, rather than writing a separate function or a separate method with a name, calling it. Sometimes is easy, but sometimes a lot of people prefer this one. Especially in the JavaScript world, especially in the jQuery world, you will see this lot of this code. And in fact, there is a lot of complaints about Java not being functional and not providing support enough. In JDK 8, they introduced a concept called lambda expressions. They are very similar to this one. You can't call, you don't have to call, you don't even have to have this one. You don't need the wrappers also, but you cannot unfortunately call the methods also. It's not pure functional like other functional programming languages, but Java moved in the direction in JDK 8 and introduced a concept called lambda expressions. Lambdas are, so it's one step toward the point that functions are also first-class citizens of the programming language. In object-oriented programming, everything is an object. In functional programming language, functions are first-class citizens. So you can pass the function around. You can pass the for loop without having any wrapper. You know that? You can do it in C# also, in other programming languages. If all you need to do is a small for loop, okay, you need to wrap that for loop in a function. You need a name, and you need to, since these methods or functions cannot live on their own, you need to wrap that with an object. How much boilerplate is that? That's their argument. They have their own place, definitely, but it's a matter of getting used to it. Okay, And I think you cannot escape it now, especially with JDK 8 Lambda expressions, and also the JavaScript and jQuery. Heavily usage of the callbacks, heavy usage of the anonymous functions, and yes. So you will write the implementation there itself. You will declare a function and then implement the function there itself. So you will see it very often. Anyways, that's the story. I wanted to stretch it a little bit. It's I know I went out of my way to just talk about it. So I thought it would really help when we talk about all of these concepts. Will help you when we talk about JavaScript and jQuery. Now, Sean, I think this is a logical stopping point for any questions.
Yeah, actually, I wrote this functional programming, this thing, anonymous thing some days ago, and in fact, I wanted to ask you about it, but thanks for explaining. That's fine. But what I'm saying is this: so the emphasis of functional programming is to really write function-based programs, right? Without classes and objects, right?
Yes.
Like in C, as we did in C and Pascal and all those things.
Exactly. But the point is that everything has its place. Okay. So don't throw the objects out. Okay, that's completely bad. So that's why we have a functional programming languages. We have definitely they have their own place, and object-oriented programming languages, they have their own place, in my opinion.
Maybe I differ with you over there. See, I like Java and object-oriented thing because it's there.
Right.
Because it's there, I had to learn it and came to like it.
Right.
But whether I can achieve the same things with other programming languages, I think yes.
So the point shown is that we have talked about inheritance, polymorphism. All of these concepts are exceptionally good. Okay, that's why they have their own place. Is my argument. And now something like this. Okay, see, Maunika brought up this great point here. Let's read her comment. We can write predefined class like comparator in the same pattern. You are 100% right, and people take that as an example. So, we wrote the comparator example, right? So comparator has one method called compare method, right? So comparator is an interface. Comparator is an interface. So let's say my comparator implements comparator of string. Sure. So I have this method called compare. So I have a string 1 and I have a string 1, and then I'll say that if I say s1 dot compare to, o1 dot compare to s2, then it's going to be simple. O2. It's going to be simple lexical order, right? It's going to be simple lexical order. But I want to do a reverse it. So let's say O2 compare to O1. Okay. So what I'm saying here is that I'm going in a reverse lexical order. So Z goes first, Y goes next, X. Okay. W goes next, like that. So I reversed it. Okay. And now I have got two strings here. Look at it. I have got two strings here. Since Maunika used this example, so list of string names equal to arrays.asList. Okay, Monica, and Yuri. It's been a while since I picked his name. Rohit, welcome. Then Sailaja, like that. Okay, I got these guys right. I got the names. Now I can say collections dot sort. Come on. Okay. Now I'll give these names and then I will give the comparator. Okay. Now I got my comparator, right? So I'll say my comparator C equal to or comparator equal to new my comparator. Got it? And now I'm giving my comparator. Hey, don't sort in a usual way. I'm telling you how to sort each element is what I'm saying here. In a collections has a method called sort. If you don't provide it by default, it calls its comparable compare to method of the comparable interface. But what you are saying is that here, hey, don't sort in a regular way. Please use me. Please use my comparator. I have my own definition of comparing two different objects. I have my own algorithm. Please use this algorithm and sort all of these guys. Can you do that for me? Okay. So, actually, it's a void. So the original list itself will be changed. Now, so Yuri, Sailaja, Rohit, Maunika. I did it in a reverse lexical order, right? If I change this guy O1 dot compare to O2, then it comes like a regular lexical order, right? So Maunika, Rohit, Sailaja, Yuri. Anyways, I want to change this guy, so I'm doing it in a reverse lexical order. Now, just because, look at it, just because the sort method is taking a comparator interface, I wrote a separate comparator class. All I'm doing all of this is to write this one line of code. God, that's where people hate. I mean, we have hundreds of strengths, but this kind of boilerplate weaknesses too. We have to accept it. Other programming languages, people, they say that, come on, guys, all you want to do is one line of code. You are doing that much. That's crazy. Okay, but you don't need to that much. What you can do rather is that, okay, you can write an anonymous inner class. You don't need to write this much boilerplate. You don't need this guy. You can just do new comparator. Okay, and then you can implement the actual comparator here. You can write this line of code here, but even this one is pretty. Oh, this one should be a string. Make sense? Your code works exactly same. There is no, you don't need a separate class called my comparator. You don't need it. You wrote a simple anonymous inner class. You wrote you wrote an implementation class of your comparator, but you did not give a name, and this is the implementation for that. Simple. Even this is too bad, right? Even for that, because you couldn't write this line of code, because this is not a functional language, so this whole method you have to give the method signature, and the worst part is that you had to wrap all of this function with a separate object. You are writing too much code, right? And this one, to an extent, has been mitigated in JDK 8. They introduced this lambda expressions, and you can do this comparator thing in lambda expressions decently easy, fairly simple. But still, it's not 100% functional language. Okay, but this is one of the examples. Thanks, Monica, for bringing that up. A lot of people take this as an example. So, did you guys understand? Is it too much?
Yeah. No. But it's too much of coding, actually. I completely agree with you on that point.
Exactly.
Actually, the C and all those languages were really excellent.
See, if you have, if you need polymorphism, really, if you need an interface that's going to be implemented by like 10 different classes, makes sense. Here, we wanted to write this line of code. We want to compare when two objects are given. We want to compare it. Come on, that can be simpler. But we needed to write a method wrapped with a class. This is the simplest possible in Java at this point as of JDK 7. Okay. So, I mean, JDK 8 can be definitely simplified. Anyways, so that's the idea. Okay. So I just gave, some random things here and there. I talked about random things. Okay. But it's all useful. The callback and all of these functional concepts, especially we're going to see this in jQuery exactly like this. So you're going to call under the hood, you're going to call and you're going to make an AJAX call, HTTP call. Hey, once the AJAX call is successful, call me. You are going to write the callback function there itself. Meaning, hey, once you're done, I'm asking you to go to google.com. Okay? Whenever that is successful, call me back. Call me back with the data that you got it. And then I will implement my callback function there itself, saying that, hey, when I receive the data, I want you to do this. This is what I want you to do. That is a callback. Once you're done, give me a call. Simple. It's regular stuff. Okay, that's a long story. I started somewhere, but ended up somewhere. Like always. So, understood? Does that make sense? Is it worth like that? Be ready for this kind of coding, huh? So, yeah. So where did I start? I started somewhere with JDBC template. I remember last time. So, so that's the story about JDBC template. It's a template method pattern. It does some pre-processing things. Routine pre-processing will be done by JDBC template, and then these two lines. Then it will give you a callback. You implement your callback, and then it does the post-processing thing once the method call is done. It's a simple. Okay. So what happens, the result is that in your database call, you don't have to open the connection, you don't have to open the statement, you don't have to open the result set, you don't have to close these guys. So you will be magically given, you pass your SQL, magically your result set will be given to you, and you play with the result set, create the object, and everything else will be taken care of. So no more closing the connection, no more opening the connection. That is what JDBC template buys you. And that's one line story, in fact. Make sense? Okay. So I highly recommend you watch this one, Spring JDBC. So I didn't talk this in depth about the callback, but I think the main meat, the actual Spring JDBC meat is there. So you can watch it. Okay. So now I want to our dependency injection principle, I want to implement to our eShop. Okay, I want to do that. Where are we right now? eShop 3 or eShop 4? I lost the count. I believe it's eShop 3, right? Madhavi knows better. So I'll take this guy out. I'll revert my changes. Sure. Oh, by the way, since a lot of people are here, what we did the other day, that very less people were there at that time. So we wanted to build this eShop in a more collaborative environment, meaning it's not only me building it, you will be building it. So we created one Git project called eShop, this guy, SHOPPE. We created this project in GitHub. We are using Subversion, right, as our source code management tool. Similarly, like Subversion, we have another tool called Git, G-I-T. Okay, it's actually invented by Linus Torvalds. Oh, what's his name? Linus, the Linux guy who invented Linux. So he needed a repository, open source repository, and he has thousands of committers across the globe. Obviously, thousands of people work on Linux and contribute, right? It's an open source operating system. So he needed something that's very distributed. The concept is slightly different between Subversion and Git. So not slightly, but fundamentally different. Their architectures are fundamentally different. So it became very, very popular. Okay, I'm not going to talk about what is Git and all the internals, but I will point you to very right source here. So Code School, I think I talked to you before. In Code School, I don't recommend you have an account or something. This is like, it's mainly for front-end people, okay? But there are some free courses. One of the free courses is Git. I think try Git. So GitHub and Code School, they have this course called Try Git. This is a free course. Watch the videos and do some exercises. Okay, that's good enough actually. I wouldn't recommend anything more or anything less. Okay. So and now, like for Subversion, I'm using Google Code, right? Google Code is an open source repository manager where you can store your code. That is where all of my source code is actually stored. All these while, okay. So this is the last batch. I'm going to use Google Code. From next batch onwards, I'm porting all of my code base to something else called GitHub. Okay, so github.com. So your Git-based repositories can be placed here. So this is my account, and then this is my account, and I created a repository called eShop. I created a repository called eShop. Here we have a project called eShop, SHOPPE. Okay, and now we have some collaborators at this point. So we have a few collaborators at this point. So if you need, we have 3 collaborators. So what you do is go to github.com, create an account for yourself, and give me your account name. I'll make you the collaborator here. I'll make you the committer. So I made this code work, this eShop SHOPPE. Okay. This is going to be our, this is going to be in Git. Okay. So go to your window, open perspective, like how you have SVN repository exploring, you have Git. So go to here, you need, first time you need some setup. I think I explained this in the last class. If you need help, I can give you for others. Okay. You go get that. And then I checked in whatever I have it. And from here onwards, whoever wants to contribute, you get this repository and then you play with it. You can check in because you are the committer, because I'm going to give you access. Okay. Is that fair? Don't make me the owner of it. Actually, you guys contribute and you guys do it.
Okay. Is it just the skeleton of the project there, or you just put the eShop 3? What did you?
No, I put the basic eShop. Okay. Now you go ahead and change it. I'm not going to touch this one. Let me put it that way. I'm not going to touch it. You guys do it. I will continue with my eShop 3, eShop 4 like that. Okay. With each introduction. I will keep that for my class. This is for collaboration, for you guys to play with it. Okay. Let's say two Madhavis, Uma, Jyoti, Shovan, these are all actively working people. Antenna, you. So what you do is you guys share the work, check in, check out, contribute. Okay. Yes, Jyoti, I mentioned her name. So is that fair? Yeah, Sean, go ahead and speak. I didn't understand. How about this?
No,
Yeah, that sounds.
I sent that program just for you to take a look. Is that what you meant? I wrote that kind of program some days ago. So if you go to the line where you have that output stream.
No.
The output stream fs create, and then it opens with that semicolon curly bracket and goes to that thing.
Maybe I didn't get everything, so I think that's I didn't get everything here.
Okay.
I got only partial one.
Really? Hang
yeah.
on a second. I'm gonna send you.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent it now.
Yes.
See the void progress.
New progressible, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
He sent a piece of code to show, how in his previous world looks. See here. New progressible. Progressible is an interface, and progress is a method on it. And he wrote an anonymous inner class here saying new progressible public void progress system out print. Yep. Precisely.
This is what you mean, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks. I'm slightly familiar with this, but thanks for explaining this.
No
the value of taking your class.
No problem, sir. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Let me call it eShop 4.
So eShop 4 has what?
The
latest one.
I've taken eShop 3 and made a copy. That's all at this point. Okay?
Okay?
So the goal is that we want to introduce Spring here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. So you're going to do the coding then?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
So this is eShop 4. I got everything. So let me close this guy and or maybe Spring. Do we have Spring here? Let's take a look at it. You need to give me after the class all the emails if you have. So let me grab my Spring dependency. You guys want to do this one?
I would like to, but I want this to finish actually. After this finishes, I want to really do it with Spring.
Okay. That's it. So we got Spring now into eShop 4. Now let's take a look at all the, hey, tell me one of you, any of you, what do we want to do here? When we introduce Spring, how does it look? Can you tell me in a couple of sentences what exactly happens? What exactly do I mean by introducing Spring into eShop? Can any of
So
you summarize briefly other than Sean?
Okay.
Okay. Let's give chance. Other than, okay.
I don't know much by
Creating bean, manageable beans.
Perspective, introduce callback instead of DAOs. Uma, why don't you speak? Why are you typing? Okay. Antenna speaks regularly too. Sailaja speaks regularly.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Antenna, you're saying something.
Yeah, just about making the project springy or introducing the.
What do you mean by that? That's what I'm asking. You said making project springy. What does it mean?
Making
if I ask you the same question in interview, what would you say?
Creating manageable beans in the configuration for each.
Come down to the ground level and tell me how this DAOs and services, how?
Yeah. Well, either we use the annotations for each annotation, we use a repository for DAO. Our service we use for service classes.
Okay. So what does it do? We have
it. It will inject the dependency. Okay.
Oh, sorry, Antenna.
Yeah, it will inject the dependent components in it, so that will give us all the dependencies when we ask for each bean.
Tell me, in this 15 lines of code, which line of code will be changed? Uma, can you talk?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Uma, which line of code will be changed with Spring? Tell me.
Yeah.
Or anything will change here, or
customer DO equal new. This will be changed.
So this line of code is bad, right? Because this customer service depends on customer DO. We all know that, but customer service is getting its dependencies. A component should not get the dependency. Those dependencies will be, this dependency will be injected into this one by Spring magically. How? How does it happen? First of all, your component should be annotated with one of the stereotype annotation, and you tell Spring that you depend on your dependency, whatever this one is, here customer DAO. And how do you ask Spring God to give me the dependency? How do you say that? What's the annotation for that?
Autowire.
Fantastic. Right? Now, this line of code is bad. Let's take out. Hey, no constructor, no setter, nothing. Field level injection will happen through reflection. Your customer service will be instantiated and customer DO will be given it to this guy magically. Right? Are you guys getting it?
Yes.
This is what I mean by introducing Spring. Now, Sean, you can ask your question.
Yeah, Venkat, since you mentioned that in MVC, the bean is the thing that is being given between those model view and controllers. So that bean, so far we have been using the customer service and all those things. Now, as you mentioned that the definition of bean is setters, getters, and a null constructor. But this one has our customer and all those things have a constructor. So ideally, we have to really create a class like the customer that does not have a constructor, right? Only getters, setters, and a null constructor, right?
No, you're pretty much covered bigger, lot of things. Okay, I think I can't say, I can't deny, I can't agree with you on that, okay? Because you covered a lot of things. So let me take one specific thing. Let's not talk about whatever I said during MVC.
Okay.
Okay? Here I'm talking about the Spring Managed Beans. Every class is a Spring Managed Bean as long as it is annotated with one of these 4 annotations.
Okay.
It will manage, Spring will manage the life cycle of this guy. This is called bean, Spring Managed Bean. Now, your very good point is that what's the difference between this bean and that bean? Pretty much no difference. All of this, it's that is why to really connect the dots, we need the history. That is why I tend to explain the history. So Spring came into picture because of the frustration out of enterprise Java beans. So to say that, hey, these are not special enterprise Java beans, these are regular beans. That's why they call it beans. That's all. You got it?
Yeah.
So Spring manage the life cycle.
I have a question.
But if one second, Madhavi, one second. Okay. Yeah. See now, but if we were to write it with MVC, then ideally our beans should have been without that constructor in customer, right?
That point, I'm not able to connect the dots actually.
Because you mentioned that the definition of bean is setters, getters,
right?
And a constructor without anything.
No. What I meant is that public default constructor. That's what I meant.
Okay.
So there should be a public default constructor. You know what is default constructor?
You mentioned default constructor, yes.
Anyone knows?
And by default constructor, I meant a constructor that's not having
there
any.
There is no parameter, so
nothing.
Right. A constructor that does not take any parameters is called default constructor. So Java bean
by empty
spec
constructor,
says,
that's what I meant.
Yep. You know what you said is absolutely right, Sean. Java bean spec says that your class should have a default constructor, and for all the fields, you need the getters and setters.
Getters and setters.
Yep.
So ideally coding, we should have really created a copy of that customer without that constructor and have a default constructor instead with getter setters.
But you are switching the context completely. You know that, right?
I'm talking about MVC. If we were to do that.
No, that's why let's not talk about MVC is my point. Because we're talking about something else completely different.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. In Spring, fine. You told that it's basically
right. Let's stick here for now.
Okay.
For now.
Okay.
Right? Because we have too many things going on, right? So let's stick here because this itself we need to understand completely. I'll get to that. Okay. So this is a Spring Managed Bean, and you are saying that, hey God, your Spring, please give me a bean of the type customer DAO. Okay. So now which bean will be given to you? Which bean or which implementation will be given to this service? Which implementation will be given to this? Any class that implements customer DAO, right? How many classes do we have that implement customer DAO? How many classes do we have in our workspace right now that implement the customer DAO? One. So this customer DAO JDBC impl will be instantiated and given it to customer service. Is that right? but it will
Yes.
not be given. Why?
Yeah.
We didn't define it in the XML.
Any annotation.
Let's say I defined it in XML, but still this class will not be injected into customer service. Why? Because this is not a Spring
You
managed
did not
bean.
specify the annotation.
Yes, this
Because
is
there
not
is no Spring.
a Spring managed bean yet. You need to make it Spring managed bean. How do you make a class a Spring managed bean?
Annotation.
What annotation?
Annotation.
Any of the annotations, right? But what is the appropriate annotation for DAO?
Component.
Repository.
Repository.
Exactly.
Repository.
Why repository is an appropriate annotation for DAO, Madhavi?
Because look,
Yeah, go ahead. Anyone?
it's related with data. Data accessible.
Repository and DAO are exactly same.
Yeah, actually it is connection from database, right?
It doesn't have to be database, but they both mean same. DAO is a pattern, right? Right? DAO is a pattern, and repository is also a pattern. It's actually a renamed pattern. That's all. So one guy looked at it and say, "Hey, why is this called DAO? It's actually based on what it is doing. It should be called repository. Let's call it repository pattern rather than DAO pattern." So that is why it became repository. Okay. Okay. Anything. Now your customer service is good, right? Now let's go to your orders DAO. Orders DAO is again an interface. So is this a Spring managed bean at this point?
No.
How do I make it a Spring managed
No.
bean?
Annotate it.
Annotation.
With repository, right?
Repository. Yes.
Is this a Spring managed bean at this point?
No.
How do I do that?
Not yet.
Repository.
Sweet.
Repository.
So all the DAOs, your customer DAO, JDBC Impl, order DAO, JDBC Impl, and products DAO, these three are Spring managed beans now. Let's go to services now. Customer service. Now, will customer DAO be injected into customer service nicely now? Because we have one of the beans. We have one of the implementations as a Spring managed bean, right? Let's look at order service. Now, what is bad here, Uma? Order service, based on whatever we have been saying, this line of code is bad. Agree? First of all, order service is a Spring managed bean. How do I make this service class a Spring managed bean?
Annotation service.
Not you. Just asking Uma.
It's a good thing. Whoever can answer, not he.
Exactly. So, how do how do we do this one? Orders DAO equal to new orders DAO JDBC import. This is bad, right?
Yeah, remove that line.
This is bad, right? So we shouldn't do this one. Rather, we should say that, hey, my order service depends on orders DAO, right? And then how do you tell Spring magically, hey, can you please, I depend on orders DAO, can you please inject me the DAO magically? How do I do that? At auto wired annotation, right?
Auto wire.
You got it. Precisely. I don't need this line of code now. I don't need this line of code now. Fantastic. This is such a beautiful thing, right? Right? Your customer service is all set. Your order service is all set. Your product service is not all set. Product service is not a Spring managed bean. How do I make it a Spring managed bean? At service. And I need my fancy products DAO, please. Spring God, please inject a DAO into me. How do I do that? At auto wired, so I don't need this guy. Beautiful, right? So we have completely eradicated the implementations in any of the classes, nobody has implementation, meaning there is no new, there is no implementation. Magic. Everybody, this is the perfect code to interface. I depend on only interface. This guy depends on only interface. Okay, implementation, well, I don't care about it. Spring will magically inject it for me, right? And now, what happens in our checkout servlet? Tell me now, where is our, okay, we got the session, we got the products, we got the order amount, we got this one, we got the order, we got the DAO. This is such a bad old code or something. We are giving, we are calling the order DAO directly. That's bad. We are supposed to call the order service, right? Or maybe we don't have. No, we do. Customer ID and order. Somehow we got the new one. Somehow we got the old code. So this is how we were doing, right? Order service equal to new order service impl. New order service impl. Oh, there is no order service does not have an interface. Sure. So this is how we were getting it, right? But even then, we're using a new. If at all there is an interface, there is no scope for polymorphism, and also your testing will go bad. Making this code testable is bad. Making this code test is I wouldn't say impossible, but it's very hard. Okay. So that is why, what do we have to do? Order service equal to new order service. Rather, can I do this one? Can I do this and say that service dot place order, and then where is the customer ID? I'll say 1. Can I do this one? Guys, can I do this one? What should I do? If at all, now one of you tell me, doesn't matter whoever it is, if I instantiate and get my service, what happens? Will DAO be injected into my service? Will DAO be injected into my service if I instantiate my service?
No.
Jyoti, you've been very silent today. No? You're saying confidently, Madhavi? Okay. Why not? Rohit, is that you?
Yeah.
Meaning yes for what? Can you elaborate on that?
Actually,
Yes,
Rohit,
it can inject.
How strange it is.
If you do new order service, your Spring can inject order DAO into this one?
No, no, it will not yet.
No.
No.
Okay, I'm hearing both yes and no. So anyone? Let's see. Let's get the count.
Okay.
How many no's?
I can't say right now because I have to really see the tapes.
Can you open order service?
Yeah. Let's say
No.
it doesn't matter. Let's say it doesn't matter here.
No.
Okay. Some confident no's. How many confident yes? Or any yeses? I'll tell you. The answer is no.
Yeah.
Injection will not happen because you are not managing the life cycle of order service. Then Spring is, sorry, you are managing the life cycle of order service by instantiating it. Your Spring is not in the picture. So Spring wouldn't know that it needs to inject the orders DAO. Spring is not even in the picture if you instantiate it. This is very, very popular mistake that people make it. A lot of times people come to me and say that, hey, I'm getting this exception. Okay, null pointer exception, popular null pointer exception. You call it and place an order. This line number 20 will blow with null pointer exception because DAO is null. Why DAO is null? I put auto void everything. Sure, you are not asking the Spring God to give you the order service. If you had asked Spring to give you the order service, then it would have given you order service with the fully loaded order service, meaning order service with all the dependencies injected into it. It would have given you that. But you did not ask. You got on your own. Spring manages the life cycle of all the beans. Managing the life cycle meaning it will instantiate from instantiation to the death, from birth to death, Spring will take care of it. But you need to ask Spring. How do you ask Spring? So far, this is not the best way to do it, especially in a web application. This is no way the better way. Sorry, this is no way the best way. But so far, how do we ask Spring to give me the order service? Anyone?
Application context.
Precisely. Tell me the code. Application context.
Application context equal new class path XML application context.
Equal new class path XML application context. In fact, is there any web application context, something like that? There is a new class path XML application context, and then Spring config your location.
Venkat, this is just for loading the application context, right?
You got it.
Yes.
The new thing here is just for kicking off the application context, not for kind of instance.
Yes, you are loading the whole application context. That is why I'm saying this is not the best way to do it. In fact, this is the worst way of doing it. Let me put it that way. In case of web applications, because you are loading the Spring config XML every single time you call it. But do you need to? Nope. You don't need to.
What about if we put in web XML probably?
Where we put it, let's talk about the solution later. There is a better spot. There is something called listener. So we'll use the context listener to actually load that in a different way. So we'll talk about it when we talk about Spring MVC. So we got the context, and then context. Hey, context God, can you give me the bean with the name
Order service
or
class.
with the type? Can you give me a bean with the type order service for me? Now you will get the fully loaded order service with all the dependencies injected. If order service has a dependency of orders DAO, if at all orders DAO, if at all your orders DAO impl has any dependencies, it would have provided those dependencies also. It's a multi-level dependency. The nth level. A depends on B, B depends on C, C depends on D, and then it gives you fully loaded A object for you. Rohit, are you in agreement with us now? Are we on the same page?
Yeah.
Agree?
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Sweet. But one point for everybody is that this is an ugly way of doing it. Loading the application context, meaning you are loading the Spring Bean. You're bootstrapping the Spring Bean. You are loading the Spring Bean. It's a big deal. I mean, it's few milliseconds. You don't want to do this. Not milliseconds, probably a couple of seconds. So you don't want to do this on every single request. You need to do it only once. You need to do it only once. Okay? But how do we do it only once? We'll worry about that later. So until web app we have in the class path. So what we typically do is that we will put this in /webinf/ Spring config XML. This is where we typically put it. Okay? /webinf/spring config XML. This is where we'll provide the spring config XML. And then we are asking the guard, spring guard, to give us the bean. Now, this is all good. This is all good. Let's go to different servlet now. This is sometime back code maybe. Now, we'll get the same 2 lines of code here. Now we'll say that product service, right? Hey God, can you give me the product service for me, please? Okay. And now we don't want to get like this. Service.get all products. Maybe the method name is different. Oh, we don't have it, huh? We didn't provide get all. Now we'll write. What's the big deal? Return DAO dot. Yep. So we got all the products. Once we get the products, we put them in the scope, request scope, and do all of that good stuff. I don't need to go into those details yet. Okay, we have the product service. See, hey, can I do this new product service? Can I do that? Nope, you can't do that. You can't use new to get your own dependency. No, ask Spring God to give you the product service. He will give you nicely. And now you just say service.getById. That's it. You're asking the Spring God nicely, and yep, done. Done deal. The only thing that we have not done is your Spring config XML, which we can borrow it nicely from our code. Let's take a look at it. Component scan, base package, com training, with class E. It's not com training here. We have com.eshop. Okay. I'll remove this guy. But maybe there are some JSPs. File not found exception, webinf, spring config XML. We said the class path, right? So I'm sorry. We need to put this guy in source main resources. Exactly. This is where, if you put it here, it goes directly to webinf classes. Webinf classes. But there is a way we also put it there. I'll talk about that probably when we talk about Spring MVC. So that's it. You don't need to specify anything here. Just say, once you put it in webinf classes, everything in webinf classes is in the class path. Sorry. Everything in webinf classes is in the class path. That's it. And it's a good idea to restart the server as well, because sure, change, save it. No qualifying bean of time product service is defined. Can anyone tell me why it would come? Okay, first of all, this eShop 2.
eShop 4.
One sec. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
getting there. I'm getting there. because we are copy pasting, right? That is why. In all the JSPs also, we probably need to change this guy to eShop 4. We've been talking about doing something fancy here. You can use this C: URL. Then context, we should never specify that. That's never a best practice, honestly. Okay, now tell me why.
Venkat, why not we should specify context for security?
Probably, Venkat, we didn't specify the name in the outwire, the qualified name there.
I'll get to that your question in a second, Antenna. But let me take Shovan's one. Hey, that's a good point, by the way. Shovan, yes, one is for security, and number two, every time you change the context, you need to change everywhere, right? If you change your application name, right, it's more than security, it's for your convenience. Okay?
Yeah.
So, no qualifying bean of type product service is defined. No such bean definition exception. Big fat errors. Anyone tell me why? Sorry, boss, I couldn't find a product service is what Spring is saying. At what time? When it invokes your homepage servlet here. You're asking Spring, hey, can you give me a class with the product service?
Products service, right? I mean, have you written the name exactly as what is this products service?
I think so. This is pretty interesting. Now,
Yeah, I think if I'm not wrong, you wrote product service. No, you written
do we
that.
have those many classes? I don't think so. This is good.
Right.
Context.getBean. Let's take a look at Spring config XML. We said com.eshop, right? Okay, let's look at the Spring config, right? Why not on this guy? See here, loading XML bean definitions from class path resource.
Yeah.
Default listable bean factory. It is not looking at where are your bean names, defining beans. You are supposed to have our beans here, right? So Spring is not defining. So com.eshop, is this right? Base package. Oh, there is one hanging here already. Okay. Let's clean up this guy. Also, I want to clean up my Tomcat work directory just in case. Now let's run it. Let's see. See, defining beans, it did not spell out our beans here. It is supposed to, right? So it is saying class path resource Spring config XML. Which one is it reading? I'm really conspicuous, literally. I get the feeling it's not reading this guy. Spring config. Oh!
That's not, those are different packages.
I thought we changed it, but we changed it in WebINF. Look at it. Com training. Obviously, there is not even one bean was specified. This is empty. I was like wondering why. Okay. Definitely it's not reading.
But we changed where we changed?
We changed in that old WebINF one. That is why I deleted it. Now deeply looked at it. So let's restart this guy. Let me clear the console. Okay, start it. It has to work. There is no way. Look at it. First of all, forget about this end result. Forget about it. Pre-instantiating singletons in blah, defining beans. Look at it. Customer DAO JDBC impl, orders DAO JDBC impl, products DAO JDBC impl, customer service, order service, product service. This is what I wanted to see. These are all the beans that it defined. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beans that it is managing the life cycle for. Got it? Okay, that's enough. And I'm leaving with one note here. We don't want to load this Spring config XML with every single request. In fact, the Spring config XML can be loaded only once. It doesn't have to be loaded 100 times. It should only be loaded once. Okay? But why are we loading it? Because this is the only solution that we know so far. But how can we not load it? Or how can we load it only once? We didn't talk about it. There is a concept in servlet called listeners. So we can use one of the concepts called context listeners. So using which we will read that Spring config XML only once. And once it reads, the whole bean factory or the whole application context will be held on to it in the context scope until server dies. So we'll talk about that one when we talk about Spring MVC, which is your next class. Okay. Meanwhile, you please look at the Spring JDBC. This is no way directly related to Spring MVC. So even if you didn't watch it, you can survive on Tuesday, but it's good for you. Okay. That's all I have.
Venkat, for the this thing, GitHub. So we have to create an account first, right? And give it
Yes,
to
sir.
you or something?
Exactly. Create an account in github.com and then send me your account.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I send you. Would you please add me?
Venkat,
Like me?
Yeah.
Account information to get from Git.
Hey, one second. We'll talk about the GitHub. It doesn't have to be recorded here. So, Jyoti, you're speaking?
yes, Venkat, sorry, I was doing multitasking. So one question, so this application context, for that we are going to, instead of using it every time, we are going to use it through the listener, correct? How that is different from the servlet context listener?
That's exactly same thing.
Okay.
It's exactly same thing, but we're going to use that servlet context listener. Okay, to load it once, to load the Spring config XML once, and once it gives that application context, we are going to hold on to that application context in context, servlet context.
So like when we open up the web application and then we launch and do something else, and then once the session is done and then we close it, it will be gone automatically, correct?
I did not tell you, so I'm going to defer it. I'm going to defer that question.
Okay.
Because I didn't even talk about it, right? So taking a question on that is not fair.
Okay.
Okay.
I couldn't see in my SVN eShop 4.
Oh, you couldn't see it?
Yeah. And
if you can't sleep, Jyoti, if you're really, really curious, I'll just quickly tell you, context loader listener is good for the whole context, meaning once the application is deployed into Tomcat, that's when the context loader listeners onload method will be called. Okay. there is another
Okay.
method called unload or on unload or something like that. That will be called when application is undeployed. So there's
Okay.
nothing to do. Context is a bigger scope than session.
Okay. Okay.
From the
Yeah.
minute you are deployed your application to the minute the application is undeployed, the context scope lives all along. So
Okay.
several hundreds of thousands of people can come and go, sign in, sign out, sign in, sign out, sign in, sign out, but there will be one context.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
No problem. Don't worry if you didn't understand. We didn't talk about it.
So can you call in, check in eShop 4 and
I
call
did.
back?
I
No,
did.
but I couldn't see it. I don't know why.
I don't know why too.
Me too. I can't see that. Even eShop 3 is not there as well.
Yeah, eShop 3, eShop 4 and call back 3 are not there.
Okay, we'll look at it. Let's look at it together. Java Training Venkat Google Code Gone. Oh, it went to eShop 2. Oh my God.
Yeah,
See here.
Spring 2 also Spring 1. So
Oh boy, eShop 2, it went to eShop 2 because of the copy. Inside this guy, do you see anything like that? No, 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 no.
your Spring 2
Yeah,
also in
see
Spring
here,
1.
it went to it went to this one mainly because I copied from there, right? So what I'll do is that theme disconnect, also delete subversion. Now that's my bad, did not realize. Because when I copy paste, all the subversion metadata also comes with it, right? So it's natural. It's very reasonable. So now let's look at eShop 4. Yeah, there you go. It's coming.
eShop 4, we got it.
Yep, it's coming.
So I'll just check it out now, or we'll give some time.
1 second, sir. Commit 38%. So give it another couple of minutes.
Okay.
It's slowly coming.
And eShop 3 and call back also.
Okay.
Yeah. Callback is very important.
Oh, callback is, I mean, I didn't think it's that important, but it's okay.
Okay.
No, absolutely. I don't have any problems checking this guy in.
And callback, the name is callback, right?
Yeah, it's callback.
Yes, call back.
Mm-hmm. It's checking in. And what's the other one? eShop 3, you said?
eShop 3.
Yeah, eShop 3.
Sure. Let me do team disconnect. So I'll delete all the subversion thingies, metadata. Now share projects. Toin. Is eShop 4 good now?
I don't know.
Okay.
That
eShop
you'll
4.
be able to say.
eShop
It's
4 is
there.
done. eShop
Done.
4 is done. Callback is done. eShop 3 is being done right now.
Callback is done.
And your Spring 2 Fab 2015 2015 is showing Spring 1 Fab 2015.
Okay.
So,
It's the same problem.
Say it again, Madhavi. What was the issue? Madhavi,
Spring 2 is taking Spring 1. Spring 1, but now it is okay.
I'm fixing it. Fixed it.
Yeah.
The project Spring 2 will already exist in repository. Oh. To connect the local project to specify the project local basic dot. Please consider that applying local changes can cause resource conflicts, for example.
So the Spring 1 2015 and Spring 2 2015, Feb 2015, these are all good. Can we take them?
You should be able to.
Okay. No, I mean, so what Madhavi said something, I didn't really get that.
When I check out Spring 2 Fab 2015, it is taking Spring 1 2015, but
that may be Madhavi.
There.
Hang on, Madhavi. It may be because of the reason that I had that day in the checkout. It's going in as a different name.
It may be that reason, or it may be because I did not remove the subversion the metadata information. So I could be the main reason. Okay, so now we should be good. I think everything should be good. Let me put
Okay,
it that
but I
way.
don't see that call thing here.
Callback?
Yeah, do you see them?
1 minute. I will check it now.
Yep, I see the callback too. So no big deal.
See, after car there is car servlet
No,
code.
it's
Let me
It's
just
a
refresh
small
it.
check it.
one.
Yeah, small.
Yeah, it is a callback because
Okay, guys. Other than this one, anything else?
Nothing
after
else.
bookstore there is callback. You can see
After
Shravan.
bookstore, after bookstore there is car rental. I see. I don't see
Is
callback.
it
Let me
possible
refresh.
for you to
You
add
can